Hi, everybody. Welcome to Steve the Missionary. I want to talk about something that's been on my mind the last couple of days. I've been poking around YouTube, as I am wont to do, and I'm finding a lot of people that are like into spirituality and like to call themselves new age or mystic and just like poking around what they're trying to say. And I find a couple of things that I'm not fans of, one of which is you're really doing a disservice to the word spirituality. You're not letting it mean all the things that it could. But because to say that you are into spirituality is a weird phrase as opposed to like have a spirituality, which like all religious people do and all people that pray or meditate do. But so that's one problem. But the main one, and something I really want to get across to everybody, the main problem I find with most people whose entire spiritual idea stops at meditation, or people who are involved in like the new age corners of spirituality, especially in America, is this spirit body dualism. All over the place, I'm finding this idea that we are sacks of meat that are filled with a soul, or at least filled with a consciousness. And that is not only wrong, it's incredibly, incredibly, incredibly dangerous. And it's shocking to me how widespread it is in the whole of American culture, and not just the I'm a spiritual but not religious corner of the culture. We are convincing ourselves over and over and over again that our body and our souls are very different and that they don't actually meet, or that what happens to one does not affect the other, or that when you help one, you're not going to help the other. This is entirely untrue, and especially if you're Catholic, it's decidedly untrue and against how our religion even works. And I wanted to say that just like outright. The soul and the body combined make a person. And what happens to the soul will affect the body, and what happens to the body will affect the soul. And they're not exactly the same thing, but the definition of a person is the combination of soul and body. So you cannot ignore the body in order to focus on the soul, and you cannot ignore the soul to focus on the body. It will fail. Think about how anybody who's ever talked to someone who's depressed or been a shrink or heard a psychologist talk knows that, oh, look, you're depressed. Well, you should exercise, not because exercise will be the thing that solves your problems, but exercise is part of the cocktail of things that will start to make you better. Because exercise is combined with your mind, is combined with your consciousness, is combined with your soul to make you. And that's part of why death is such a bizarre and painful thing for us. Because death is the unnatural state of having your body and soul separated from each other. That's the tragedy of death. And the promise of a Christian heaven is for the body and the soul to be combined again. That's why when Jesus Christ rose from the dead, he rose up as an enfleshed person. As an enfleshed person with like new abilities, because he was like resurrected, so he could like walk through walls and stuff, but change appearance. But he was an embodied person, and that means our prayer needs to be embodied. Our spiritual outlook needs to be embodied. The sacraments of the church are embodied. You have to say things, you have to eat things, you are anointed by things. This is important for us. And that's why for the Christians, it's a mercy, a work of mercy to bury the dead. If we really believed that body and soul were separate and that body is just the meat sack that carries our true person, then when a person died, we would have no care for a dead body. We would just toss it out into the woods because who cares? Their soul is free. Doesn't matter. But because we know that even though like the person is gone, the person has died, this body, which will rot, right? This body is still a respectable part of the human. And so we need to show care, show respect, properly bury a dead body. That's why there are rules about burial in the Catholic Church, and cremation in the Catholic Church, and how to properly do these things, because these rules show this care that we're supposed to have. We need to kind of state that over and over and over again in a culture that wants to separate soul and body. No, they're together. It matters that they're together. There are many dangerous things that happen when you separate soul and body. You start to it spirals out of control in kind of unforeseeable ways. People can starve themselves. First of all, there's insane asceticism to the point of danger. In that, there's insane hedonism to the point of danger, and there's a very strange amount of not caring for the other, not caring for someone else who's suffering when you start to separate soul and body. So remember that, remember that, remember that. You are a combination of soul and body. To separate the two is a bad thing, and to remind other people that they are the combination of the two. This is why I was, I forget who it was, but I was listening to a priest talk, and he was like talking about Eastern Christianity and their mystical tradition and their mysticism tradition. And he said very straight up and directly, the Christian never seeks an out-of-body experience. The Christian never looks for an out-of-body experience. You can find a lot of New Age people say, I meditated and I left my body. That's not good. That's not what we're looking for. Because we are a combination of body and soul, our spiritual goal when we're praying is to further meld our body and our soul. Any direct mystical spiritual experiences that a Christian has is going to be a new experience, an embodied experience of our body and soul being more, fecund, even closer together than they were before. This is what the goal is for a Christian, this integration of body and soul, this integration of grace and nature, this integration of what the world is and what the world should be. That's how we're supposed to work. I'm sure there's a better way of saying what I just said, but that's what's going on in my mind right now. So have a good weekend. God bless. Happy Lent. And remember, you are a body and a soul. Thanks.